Hey guys, welcome back to Dwell Big. Today I'm going to be doing a little project on our Aspen Trail 2850. We recently upgraded to this camper and are 99% happy with everything except the setup with the gray tanks. So this has a independent front gray tank that some people consider a galley tank, but it is only set up on the kitchen sink. There is no overspill, there's no equalizing properties. It is purely a separate tank. It had a separate output, which meant that, you know, it had 84 total gallons of capacity, but strangely, unlike other manufacturers versus putting a small tank up front for the kitchen only, they had a 42 in the front and a 42 in the back. And it just didn't really make sense, and I wanted to try to find a way to combine the two and equalize them. And also, I didn't want to deal with two separate dump locations on this. They're about 12 to 13 feet apart, and it just did not really make sense to me. So I opted to find a way to hard plumb the two in together to allow them to equalize, to allow them to come out the main rear dump point, and I believe we accomplished that perfectly. How this works is this is a line from the front tank, which is the kitchen sink only. I've got that running back in here to a Y. That's before the knife valve for the gray tank. And what that's going to do is keeping this gray tank knife valve closed will allow both of these tanks to equalize out, giving me 84 gallons versus two separate 42-gallon tanks. It also means I no longer have the dump at the front. I will only have this one outlet at the back that will dump both gray tanks and my black tank. This is the piece that was originally on the front. Just has your standard 3-inch connection for your sewer hose line and just a knife valve. And I simply cut it off, put that 90 on, and then plumbed it straight into the back. This is the special ABS cement, and then this is the special ABS cleaner. This is actually for multiples, but this is just a clear cleaner, and you're not really supposed to use the purple primer like you normally would on PVC. This is the type of pipe. This is called a drain and waste only pipe, so it is not designed for pressure. It's a very thin wall, and it's, to my knowledge, it is always black. All of the components can be purchased at your local hardware store, and I had roughly $50 for everything, including the cleaner, the cement, and all the piping and fixtures that we had to make this happen. Alright, I've got this all zip tied, tacked up now. I need to get some additional brackets, but this is going to be the moment of truth here shortly. See if my plumbing all holds and it works as it should. Alright, I got the city water connected. I'm ready to go start testing and seeing if they both equalize and if my connections on my plumbing hold. Alright, what I'm doing is running this kitchen sink with the city water connected, and here shortly I'm going to go down and see if all of the joints that we just put on that new run for the front tank are holding. That pipe should be filled up with water at this point. So let's go see. Alright, so far I do not see any drips. Again, this line should be full at this point. This is the front part where it comes out of the main tank. I can definitely hear the tank filling up, and I would imagine that there is water in this line now and probably filled up. But I do not see any dripping or leaks out of that yet, which is a good sign as long as there's water in that plumbing. There's a coupler right there. Apologize for any wind noise out here today. There's a coupler right there. And then the majority of the fittings are back here. I don't feel anything wet, and I certainly don't see any dripping. Alright, so now the moment of truth. If I open this valve for the gray tank and water comes out, it means we do have water filled up in this pipe currently. And again, there's certainly no visible leaks and no wet feels so far. Let's go ahead and open this up, see what we got. There we go. So that is water purely from the kitchen gray tank right now. Close that knife valve back. And what I'm going to do now is go inside the camper and see if, now that I've got confirmation this is not leaking out here anywhere, I want to go watch my two sensors for the two gray tanks and see if they are actually equalizing, which is the main purpose of this whole build. I'll see you in there. Alright, I'm back inside the camper. We've got the slide closed right now just so I can have a little bit easier time working out there. But I'm still running water in the kitchen sink, and what I wanted to see is on this panel if the grays are equalizing. So they're pretty good sized tanks, and especially if they are equalizing, it's going to take us a good bit of time to get to 1/3 full on both of them. But if this works as intended, we should see probably one hit 1/3 first and shortly after the other one should, meaning they are equalizing just off this kitchen sink running. So I will cut for now and come back once we have a progress update. Like I said, this will take a little bit of time here. Tanks are still filling up as we speak, just the kitchen sink running for right now, just to make sure these are equalizing as anticipated. And still, that I can tell, not a single drop out of any of the existing or the new plumbing. None of it's getting through this knife valve. And this knife valve staying closed is what allows these tanks to equalize. So as this front one fills up, it'll hit this knife valve going through this Y, and it should start backfilling the front tank. And in theory, they should always be pretty darn close to equal with each other. They might not be perfectly aligned, but you know, within probably 10% or so, they should be exactly in line with each other. Now this does run above the axle, but I kept it far enough up, and especially once I get the right brackets on there, it is far out of the way from any moving parts and any potential to interfere with anything. It is below this slide, but again, far away from any moving parts on the slide. I did verify all of that. As I said, I just have it zip tied up in a few places right now just to kind of hold it and allow this testing to kind of take place, but I will get a lot more anchors or hangers, kind of like this front one that I repurposed, and effectively put those all the way along the frame, all the way back here, and they've got one on the existing gray and the existing black back here. So get a few more of those. The big thing to keep in mind is to kind of keep a downward slope on all of this. And right here I have just a little bit, just a tiny bit of a low spot. This pipe runs really perfectly everything aligned up. But the way I had to put this Y in to clear the existing gray pipe, so was as invasive as minimally possible. It did create just a little bit of a low spot right here. Certainly not enough to be a problem, and any amount of pressure at all through here will push most of that out. You might end up with just a little bit left over laying in there, but not enough to concern me in the least. Alright, I'm still only running the kitchen faucet. As of right now, gray 1 is actually up to 1/3. Gray 2 is still on empty. Let's continue to run and see if gray 2, which is the rear tank, is going to catch up and go to 1/3 to equalize, or if this is all in vain. Alright, absolutely perfect. Super excited about this. Gray tank 1, we are still only running the kitchen faucet. Gray tank 1, still at 1/3, and gray tank 2 is also at 1/3, meaning we have almost perfectly equalized. It did take a little longer for gray 2 to get to 1/3, but as I said, they're never going to be perfectly in line, but they'll be within probably a few gallons of each other. So I would anticipate gray 1 will go up to 2/3 here shortly, followed by gray 2. And the same should be exactly true if we were running the shower, the kitchen, or the bathroom sink, etc. The tanks are just going to nicely equalize out. So now they work as one, and it's like we got one, total gray tank. I think, for once, the project kind of really went perfectly as planned. No crazy multiple trips to the hardware store. Everything just kind of came together and worked perfectly. No leaking in any of the plumbing joints first go around, which is awesome. Like I said, do have to go get some more hangers, but that's certainly not a big deal. And it checked off everything we were wanting, so I couldn't be happier with this. I know my wife and the whole family is going to be thrilled with this difference. So thanks for watching, guys. If you haven't already, please take a second to subscribe. Also, please like this video if it helped you. Hopefully it gives you some kind of insight to your system. I'm sure there's very few campers set up exactly like this, but hopefully it gives you an idea if you have a separated galley or front kitchen tank that there is hope to combine the two and multiply your capacity, or at least drastically increase it, and to get down to a single full hookup or dump point. Thank you, guys. As always, dwell big wherever you are. Thanks.